Good morning, I'm Craig DeGrelli. It's Thursday, May 15th, 2025, and these are your unbiased updates. Russia and Ukraine set for face-to-face talks in Turkey, but a major figure will not be there. Vladimir Putin, who proposed the meeting, is sending representatives instead. Reaction from President Trump, and who from the United States is going to try to get the peace talks jump-started. Also, is Iran finally willing to give up its nuclear ambitions to make a deal with the United States? Details this morning on the key aspects of the plan and what specifics appear to be on the table.
From the Straight Arrow News Studio, bringing the stories that matter to you from across the United States and around the world, these are today's Unbiased Updates.
The world is watching today as Russia and Ukraine are set to meet for peace talks in Turkey. But Russian President Vladimir Putin will not be there. Despite the face-to-face talks actually being Putin's idea, the Kremlin has confirmed he will not be in Istanbul, Turkey, for discussions about ending the war in Ukraine, which is now in its fourth year. Putin met with senior Russian government officials overnight before sending a low-level delegation to Turkey for the talks. That delegation includes former Culture Minister Vladimir Medinsky, who took part in failed 2022 peace talks. It is not yet clear when exactly the talks will start. And while Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky did travel to Turkey to take part, a Ukrainian official now says Zelensky will meet with Turkey's president in Ankara before he decides on the next steps. While in Qatar, President Trump commented on Putin's absence, saying, quote, "I didn't think it was possible for Putin to go if I'm not there." Meanwhile, Secretary of State Marco Rubio is in Istanbul as NATO ministers meet to discuss ways to step up collective security. Rubio is expected to take part in the peace talks between Russia and Ukraine on Friday.
I will say this, and I'll repeat it, that there is no military solution to the Russia-Ukraine conflict. This war is going to end not through a military solution, but through a diplomatic one. And the sooner an agreement can be reached on ending this war, the less people will die and the less destruction there will be. And ultimately, that's what the president's goal is.
Ahead of the NATO meeting, French Foreign Minister Jean-Noel Barrot said the United States and Europe are preparing further sanctions on Russia's energy and financial sectors. Same topic, but different angle. As Russia and Ukraine prepare to meet for those peace talks, there's a chance President Donald Trump will make an unplanned stop in Turkey to attend the meeting. Now, that's according to a post on X from Zelensky. He posted, "We also hear that President Trump is considering attending the meeting in Turkey. That could become the strongest argument. This week really may change a lot." Zelensky just arrived in Turkey this morning, so he is already there. While speaking to reporters in Qatar this morning, President Trump added he would go to Istanbul tomorrow if it was appropriate. Donald Trump spoke to American troops in Qatar this morning as part of the final leg of his international trip. Then it's off to the United Arab Emirates. So far during the trip, he has made a major diplomatic breakthrough with Syria's new government, dropping sanctions against the country and meeting with its new leader. The president has also strengthened ties with Saudi Arabia and brokered some multi-billion-dollar deals for the United States. Iran appears ready to sign a nuclear deal with President Donald Trump, with certain conditions. In an interview with NBC News on Wednesday, a top advisor to Iran's supreme leader said in exchange for President Trump immediately lifting all economic sanctions on Iran, the country would commit to never making nuclear weapons, getting rid of its stockpiles of highly enriched uranium, which can be weaponized, agree to enrich uranium only to the lower levels needed for civilian use, and allow international inspectors to supervise the process. President Trump has repeatedly said Iran cannot be allowed to develop a nuclear weapon, but might be allowed to import low levels of uranium for use as fuel. And while Iran denies even wanting to make nukes, the International Atomic Energy Agency says the country has enriched enough uranium to make 6 nuclear bombs. The U.S. and Iran have been holding talks over Tehran's nuclear program for weeks, but have not yet come to any stated agreement. In Washington, Republicans are plowing ahead with the so-called Big Beautiful Budget Bill that President Trump is touting. Medicaid funding is a major issue on both sides of the aisle. The House Energy and Commerce Committee debated for more than 24 hours before advancing the portion of the bill that includes $880 billion in Medicaid cuts. Some House members had fought for a lower number of about $600 billion. The House Agriculture Committee also approved a portion of the bill that would slash spending by $230 billion. A key component is cuts to the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP, or commonly called food stamps. The measure would increase the age limit for able-bodied adult recipients who do not have children from 54 to 64 years old. House Speaker Mike Johnson is hoping to get the budget approved by Memorial Day weekend. Overall, the huge spending bill aims to cut $1.5 trillion to make the 2017 Trump tax cuts permanent. As it stands now, it includes Donald Trump's campaign promise of no tax on tips and no tax on overtime pay. Once the House passes it, the bill heads to the Senate, where Republicans hold a 53 to 47 majority, and there likely will be changes, possibly to the Medicaid funding cuts and perhaps increasing the SALT deduction cap. It allows people who live in high-tax blue states to increase their write-off of state and local taxes. The current limit is $10,000. Some blue state Congress members want that deduction upped to $30,000.
I don't think people should be taking medical advice from me.
Right, no, I got that. And I'm not asking you to give them medical advice, but would you vaccinate your child for measles?
If I answer that question directly, that it will seem like I'm giving advice to other people, and I don't want to be doing that. I want people to make
but that's kind of your jurisdiction because CDC does give advice, right? I'm not trying to do it as a gotcha. It's just kind of...
The nation's top health official telling Congress Americans should not take medical advice from him, as you just heard. The comment coming during a House Appropriations Committee hearing on Wednesday as Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was being pressed about his stance on vaccines. While Kennedy said he would probably vaccinate his own children against measles, he refused to answer whether he embraces the polio or chickenpox vaccine. Kennedy has long been a vaccine critic. Finally this morning, what an interesting find at Harvard University. A rare version of the Magna Carta from the 1300s. For years, the university thought it had just a cheap copy of the Magna Carta in its collection, which was a faded document that the university bought for less than $30. The Magna Carta was established in 1215 and stipulated that the king is subject to the law of the land. It actually was the foundation for many constitutions around the world. A professor named David Carpenter was poking around the Harvard Law School library, and he found the digitized document. So he teamed up with a professor of medieval history in Britain to confirm the document in Harvard's possession was actually authentic by comparing it with 6 copies from 1300. The expert in Britain found the dimensions matched, and voila! The copy that the Harvard Law School Library purchased in 1946 from a London book dealer for $27.50 is an actual copy of the Magna Carta and not just a cheap knockoff. Wow, what a find. I know you're wondering, how much is it worth now? I did look that up. They're saying at least $21 million. Boy, that could pay a lot of tuition, right? Those are your unbiased updates for this Thursday. We'll see you back here tomorrow. For all of us here at Straight Arrow News, I'm Craig DeGrelli. Have a great day.